Welcome to the Astrology and the Numerology for June 6th, 2020. If you add all those numbers together, you get the number 16, and if you add the 1 and the 6 together, you get the number 7. The number 7 is the number of strategy and structure, rhythms and patterns. It's about when you have to strategize and look at a big overview picture and especially kind of predict the future. So this is like a big umbrella, like a strategist in an army. And a strategist in an army has to plan the battles and the munitions and the stopping points and the how to get the food in and how we're going to actually navigate and get there. And so they have to think ahead. They have to figure out which battles are they willing to lose in order to manipulate the enemy into a position, and which things will actually win the war. So I love the number 7. It's one of my favorite numbers because, I really feel the divine had a lot of strategy in putting this amazing world together and in putting us together. And that I think if that we're going to become more conscious and godlike, we have to start seeing the patterns that are inherent in nature that are communicating and talking to us. And, to me, there's a lot of information trying to talk to us at this point, and not all of it is crystal clear, and it can be very, very confusing. And I think that's why we're down here. I think we're learning to navigate the physical world in its complexity, in its diversity, in its unusualness, and in its spontaneity, and somehow stay sane in the middle of all of this and keep going. So I think all forms of life have an innate structure to the world, which is the number 7. There is always the potential to continue to expand that world in a variety of ways. I believe that all life can grow and expand beyond the old parameters of its existence. I also believe that extreme conditions can obligate that life to stretch and discover something outside the familiar. Such is this moment in history. Each of us is being asked to expand in ways that are uncomfortable but necessary. That is because you are more than you realize. You have a greater capacity than you ever thought. I hope that in this moment you can make your family proud with what you do in the world. So notice if your actions are going to leave a legacy that you can be proud of, or if your choices and actions will bring shame and karmic consequences on yourself and your family. Choices in such powerful moments can impact your descendants for generations, so choose wisely. The astrology for today. Saturday is sort of a challenging day. You might have big ambitions to get a lot done, yet somehow there is always one more thing that needs to be handled to get the bigger goal handled. Don't get discouraged. Deal with all things systematically, and eventually you will get some momentum going. Slow down and face what needs to be faced. Feel into the flow and move with that. Right now, you cannot push the river to go faster, and trust me, there is a massive amount of emotion moving. Let it go at its own pace. Inequality becomes more clear than ever, and it brings up a lot of resentment. The Sun square Mars in a smaller aspect does the same with Saturn. It manifests as having the ability to rile up those individuals that feel strong urges for change. Many will use this energy to take action and make something happen. You may not know how to direct such powerful forces. Resistance will not work. The force is too great at this time to stop the momentum of this massive emotional river. Know that someone will react defensively and competitively. Compromise is not possible at this time. Regardless, you need to practice patience. In the mid-afternoon, the moon will shift out of Sagittarius and into practical Capricorn, though I do not expect the emotions to become more rational. Overall, know that quarrels are close to the surface. Passion is stronger than rational thought. Those that pretend to have authority are going to experience unpleasant incidents. My quote for today: the kindness you share from your heart will give you kindness back when you most need it in another life. All things come back to you at some time. When you live a life based on doing what is right, rather than what is reinforcing bias, ego, or belief, you win in the long run. So my blog for today. Your choices and actions have impact that lasts longer than this life. Your actions impact how others see you and influence them as they move forward after you're gone. And then that legacy lives on in the influence that they in turn show their descendants. I can feel my ancestors in my very bones, in my determination, in my never give up attitude. I hear their voices sometimes in my head when I encounter a place where I want to give up and collapse. I can hear a great-grandmother say clear as a bell in my head, "I didn't go through what I went through in my life to have my granddaughter give up now." Our ancestors' choices and decisions live in us. Even in scientific studies of the epigenome factors, they know that experiences influence your lineage for 16 generations. Think of that. Right now, what you do at this very moment and time in history will influence your bloodline for 16 generations. That means that I hope you make very good choices that allow your ancestors to have peace, harmony, and love. I also try to look at how my choices now can influence my next lives. And what will I be carrying through from this life into the next ones? Each life is a preparation for the next. The more conscious you become in this, one more foot up. The more conscious you become in this one, the more of a foot up you get in the next. The more conscious you are in this moment allows you to have more options in the next. Cruelty in this life lures you into being a victim of in the next, if you are not awake and aware of the suffering you are inflicting on others. The kindness you share from your heart will give you kindness back when you most need it in another life. All things come back to you at some time. When you live a life based on doing what is right, rather than what is reinforcing bias, ego, or belief, you win in the long run. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.